So welcome back to Outdoors with the Morgans. We're with Marty Parsons, Wood-Mizer Shade Gap. And if you remember, Marty, you delivered my LT50, and I still go back to that video to remember some of the things that you told me. And I know a lot of people do as well. That one just kind of keeps chugging along.
Yeah, the test is at the end, right when I leave, and you say, what did Marty say?
Yeah. So it's a rain day today, last couple days, and I had to come out and get some blades. And Marty is a wealth of knowledge, and first thing we're going to talk about today is blades, right?
Yep, blades, sharpening. We do that here at Wood-Mizer. Corporately has shut their resharp down, but we've been doing it since 2006 and really took it over in 2002. So yeah, we're sharpening over 700 to 800 blades a week. The number's not real clear exactly what that is. We'll talk to Buddy here in a little bit, who actually is in charge of that. So
yeah.
if we can get a number for you exactly, but the number really don't matter, so we want to make sure that the blades are good when they go out.
And we can see the whole process here today, how you...
Whole process, yep, from inbound UPS to outbound UPS.
I just saw a question last night on a Facebook page, actually, about rusty blades. How do you, when you're preparing, say you take a blade off, it needs sharpened, what's the best way to preserve that from getting real rusty before it gets to you?
Well, time's probably the biggest thing, is how long it's going to sit there. So if you're using a box of blades a year versus a box of blades a week, that's going to make the difference. So if you can keep them out of the weather, keep them out of some damp place, you could probably take them in some place that doesn't have a lot of moisture to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doing anything else, spraying them with some type of diesel fuel, which we don't really recommend because it would probably smell.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's probably just some way of keeping the moisture off of them.
Right.
You got anything to add, Nick? My son Nick's standing here making sure we're doing everything correctly. So we'll kind of bounce off of him. He's the mechanical engineer from Penn State, so we'll use him a little bit.
So Nick, you went to Penn State?
I did, yes.
Mechanical engineering?
Mechanical engineering, yes, sir.
And what's your role here?
I'm the kind of first point of contact. If you call in with a problem or a question, I'm the guy over the phone. So if you have an electrical problem, mechanical problem, have a question on sales or service, I'm the guy you talk to first usually.
Right. You have anything to add on the blades that we were talking about?
Yep, so one of the ways we can do this to kind of limit the amount of rust and things we're getting on the blade is to hang them up in a cool, dry place. So if you look, we have some hung up on the wall there like that.
Right.
That keeps them off the ground, away, especially a lot of people have concrete floors or gravel floors. You get a lot of moisture coming up from the floor, so you hang them on the wall, that gets rid of a lot of that moisture that's coming up and rusting those bands out.
Right. How many sharpenings, if a blade's not half destroyed, how many sharpenings can you get out of a blade?
So with the double hard bands we sell, you get about 3 to 5 sharpenings with the band. After you get that many, you start to get down past the hardened section of the tooth. So they induction harden the teeth on those bands. There's a hardened section there, and then they kind of work down through that as we sharpen them. So.
Marty just brought up a good point when you're storing your blades. What'd you say?
Oh, when you're storing your blades, if you can have the teeth against the wood, but if they're facing out and you have an emergency in the middle of the night, let's say maybe you had a fire or maybe the dog's chasing something, you could actually get into those blades, fall into them, and then it probably wouldn't be a good day for you.
Right, right.
They're definitely still sharp even when they're dull.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. They definitely are, yeah. All right.
You can see we have them, hanging up there. It just gives you a way of inventory, and you don't have to really, when you send them to us, if you have different hook angles, you don't have to worry about sorting them, because we'll sort them when we put them on the rack and inspect them for teeth damage and that type of thing. So
can you salvage blades that hit like a big nail?
Well, if there's 1 tooth damaged, you're okay. But if there's 3 teeth damaged, then you'll have the setter will actually reference off of that, and it's not going to work.
Gotcha.
So we used to actually try to fix blades. In other words, we would actually try to sharpen those teeth. But so many customers call back with complaints about the lumber being scratched up or whatever. The quality of the lumber definitely goes down, so we usually don't mess with them. So.
Well, that's something I realized years ago, though. The expectations anymore, it used to be called rough cut lumber. You know what I mean? And that has gone out the window. Everyone's expecting, and you get it with these mills. You do when everything's running right. I mean, it's smooth. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you remember the old mills? We had an old one in town. We called them thick and thin. You know what I mean? Right. And you had to saw a 6/4 to end up with 3/4, but the mills today are way different, and people expect that nice finish now.
Yeah, if you get a customer that's actually reselling antique beams, and they're dealing with a lot of nails, and sometimes they'll bring the blades in here and they'll say, can you actually just sharpen that enough till I can get through the log? And you're going, well, sir, you're not going to be happy with the quality.
Yeah.
It's going to have a scratch on it, the tooth's going to make a mark, and it's not going to be good.
Right.
So You know, if you're really doing a log that actually has a bunch of nails in, unhook the throttle, bring the band speed down to idle, and just run it through. And it won't damage the teeth as well, and you probably can get through that piece without having an issue. It's something you could try. Now, again, the quality is not going to be quite there, but you could find the nail and pull it out and then run it through a planer, make it a little extra thick. So that's something you could try. Like I said, it just depends on whether the nail's sticking straight up or the hardware's sticking straight up. But if it's leaning over, the blade's going to be shot. It's going to wipe the set out of one side, and it's going to be it's time to trash it. So, you know, a blade's usually what, $24 to $30 a band, so it's not the end of the world. But if you get using 4 or 5 or more of them a day, it might be hard in your pocketbook. But maybe the lumber's worth some value to it. So depends on what you're going to use it for. So,
well, let's see how you sharpen these.
Okay.
So this is our resharp program here. We get the blades kind of shipped into us at the back here. So we get them in UPS ground. Once they get in here, we take them out and unpack them, take a look at them, sort them out based on the hook angle. So each of those, a different shape of the teeth. We have a different rack here we rack them on. So we can take a walk over here and I'll show you that. So blades come in usually in damaged boxes. So the boxes are usually get beat up a little bit in shipping. So we take them out of those. We sort them out again based on that hook angle. So each one of these racks here represents that different shape of the teeth. That's important because when we're doing the sharpening process, we need to have that correct profile put back in again. So it has to be separated out based on that shape of the teeth.
Right. What's the next step after they're sorted?
So once they're sorted, we take them over to the grinders. So the grinders are behind you there. All right, so this is our grinders here. This is a BMS 600 sharpener. So it has a CBN wheel, so that's a carbide wheel. So we actually take and have that same profile that the blade has to it. So if you look here, that shape that's on that wheel, it matches the same profile that's on the band. So if we have a 7-degree blade, we need a 7-degree wheel to match that. That's going to come down then. It's going to fit in that groove of the tooth. And you're going to remove about 8 to 10 thousandths off the band, somewhere around there, off of kind of every surface there. So we're making sure we get the gullet, the tooth, and the kind of the back of the tooth there all at the same time.
Okay.
That gives us that proper amount of removal there and gets us a sharpened tooth again. All right. This machine will run through automatically. We program in the number of teeth. So, for example, it has 181 teeth on there. We'll program it in, and it'll automatically run through and advance that automatically the whole way through till it reaches the end of that blade. Usually, we can just do one pass through this if the blades are run relatively easily. If you run the blades really hard, we may have to run them through and do this twice if it's really rounded over on the teeth.
Right. What's after the grinding then?
So after the grinding, we walk over and do a wash tank. So we actually wash the blade off, get any of the sap, dirt, light rust off the blade. We also roll the set out of the teeth. So the teeth have a set to them. There's a tooth that's pushed left, the tooth that's pushed right, and then one that's left straight is a raker. So we actually roll that out to where it's roughly flat, and we will put that set back in using the machines over here. Let's walk over to the wash tank here. So the reason we're grinding the entire surface of that band, not just the teeth where it's sharp, the gullet is where that blade will actually crack at. So right here is the narrowest part of the band. And so when we're running that band around the wheels, it has to wrap around that wheel and flex back and forth.
So this is where it'll normally crack, right about here?
Right about there. And so when we do that grinding, we actually take and resurface that area right there. So we're taking that crack that forms there and getting rid of it. So we actually extend the life of the band out. If we don't get rid of that crack, the band will break right there where that crack was. So when we go to a thicker band, so some guys will go to a thicker band to help them cut faster. The disadvantage of that is it doesn't flex as well. It's more rigid, and so it actually cracks sooner because of that.
Makes sense.
Have a shorter run time on those bands.
Right.
So there's a trade-off there to that.
Gotcha. Then cleaning is over here, right? That's the next step.
Yep. Next step is cleaning. So we'll walk over here to that. This is what we call our wash tank here. So we have metal brushes.
Yeah. Just scrubs them.
Yep, scrub them, runs along both sides of the blade there. So we can deal with kind of light surface rust on the blade, sap and things like that.
What are the suds? What do you have in here?
So we have essentially an oil removing solution in there that actually takes any oil that's stuck on the band off and removes that sap. We need something there we can cut that sap. Especially if you're sawing a bunch of pine, it'll stick to the band. We need something that can cut that off of there and remove that. So it's a solvent and oil remover that's
right.
We also have this over here, which is important. This is what's actually removing that set from the band. So if you look here, there's 2 cylinders here that pinch together and actually flatten
So when
that
you
off.
have a tooth leaning one way or another, this is what straightens those out.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So after the cleaning, when we straighten those teeth out, we have to put that set back into the teeth. So we use these machines over here. They're called a setter. So there's actually a pusher on it that pushes one tooth up, one tooth down, and one is left straight as a raker. So it does kind of a 3-tooth pattern there at the time. So I can walk over here and show you that. So we have the one pusher here on this side that's going to push the tooth that way. The other pusher here is going to push the tooth the other way, and then we're leaving that center tooth straight.
Okay.
So if you wait a second here, Brady will bring another blade over here and show you that kind of an operation.
So you line that up on one tooth right there, right? And
Yeah.
then, okay.
Well, these have pattern errors, so we got to go to the first secondary tooth after the weld.
Okay, so that's where you start where the weld is.
Yeah. I'll go to that tooth there. It's where I'll start. You can look out here and see your pattern.
Yep.
On a regular, a lot of the 181s and stuff like that, you don't have to worry about that. There's no pattern error, but 222s, 195s.
Oh, that's pretty slick, actually. Hold on.
Yep.
All right, so what's this machine here?
This is just another one of those grinders we were looking at earlier. This is one in operation. So you can kind of see what's going on here. So it pushes that tooth forward by one tooth, and then it comes down and hits that, and it goes the grinding process there on that tooth.
Yep. Gotcha.
So the next step in the process, once we do the setting, is we actually check the set we just put into the blade using a master gauge over here. So we make sure we've actually put the correct amount in. That spacing on those teeth is very important. That was actually what determines how much material we're removing, as well as whether the blade is actually going to cut flat. If the set is off on one side or the other, we're going to actually cause that band to go uphill or downhill as we're making that cut. So it's very important to get that amount correct. Usually it's about 21 thousandths a side, somewhere around there. It depends on the band. So if there's a longer tooth, it needs a little less set because of how far that tooth is sticking out there. So that's going to vary on that profile pitch.
Okay. So moving on down the line, then what's next?
So after we do check the set on that, we come over and flat pack them. So they're going to look like this here. So we're going to have a metal clip here that holds the band in place. So it's very important when people are taking blades out like this, you only grab one blade at a time and pull it up through this gap in the center of that clip. I've had some guys that try to cut that clip off there. It's not good.
You don't want to do that.
No. So, when we're doing this, let me grab a pair of gloves here. So when people are taking blades out, you want to make sure they're only pulling.
Because just so you guys know, they come in the box like this.
Yeah, there'll be a zip tie across the top here you have to cut off. And then there'll be usually 15 or 10 blades in a pack like this. So when you get the blades there, you're going to cut the zip tie off up here. You're going to grab the one blade in the center of that pack. You're going to squeeze it together to get it through the metal clip.
And then just one side out.
And then just one side at a time. And then it flips around like that.
Yep.
Okay. When you're done with the blades, when they're dull, you can use that same metal clip again to put them back in. So we're going to take that first blade and make that kind of pretzel shape you see there.
Yep.
And put that metal clip on that first band. Once we have that started, we can add that next blade in on top of that. So we're going to do the same thing over again. We're going to wrap it around the outside and squeeze it in through that metal clip in the center. And we'll just have that sit flush like that.
Yep.
So we can just kind of add them in the whole way until we get back to that full pack of blades.
Gotcha.
So back up to our 15 blades or 10 blades,
right?
Whatever it came in.
Good deal.
So right now,
Brandon, what are you doing here?
checking the drive belt.
Okay.
And the only reason I'm doing that is loose drive belt won't cut. Too tight of a drive belt and it'll start breaking things. So 18 pounds is what the book says to go for. And if you have a Wood-Mizer, it comes with the blade guide alignment tool. I just took the clip off. This is called a drive belt tension tool. And for 7/16 deflection, we should be at around 18 pounds. We're at 24 right now. Which I don't think it's that bad personally, but.
And so what are you loosening first?
First, I'm going to loosen this jam nut here.
Yep.
I'm gonna hold this, and then with 3/4 inch wrench, I'm gonna either tighten it or loosen it. So I'll just check it again. And by the way, with this tool, you should be at 7/16 of deflection, or
Okay.
1.1 centimeters.
I don't know what centimeters are.
Yeah, I like freedom units. And right there, I loosen it up, and we're at about 22 pounds now. So I actually kind of like that. Now, a lot of guys will say, a lot of the old timers will say, oh, just give it a half a turn. But you don't know if that guy had 2 bowls of Wheaties that morning or not.
Right.
So, you know, so I just like to use the tool and the straight edge and always double check to make sure
Right.
it's on the nuts.
Very good. Well, thanks, Brandon.
Yes, sir. Always make sure to tighten everything down whenever you're done as well.
All right, so say a guy just got a mill. He's got a bunch of blades that need sharpened. What's the process to get them to you, and how does that all work, and you get them back to him?
Yep. So they can call us to get a shipping label. So we need easiest way is for us to send you out a prepaid return label. That gives you a reduced shipping cost to get the blades in the door. You can pay yourself to get that, but it's generally more expensive for you to pay yourself to get that box of blades to us. So if you give us a call or shoot us an email, we can send you one of those prepaid labels. That gets the blades to us. Usually do your best to keep your box in good shape. So when you get a new box of bands, make sure to keep that box in dry. A lot of times you'll see that it will be sitting outside and get wet, and then it doesn't hold up after that point.
No stink bugs. A lot of them come in just raw.
Those things are everywhere, them stink bugs.
Don't ship them to us. Yeah, but you do get a new box. You know, when we ship them out, the tape won't stick to the old boxes. So, and right now we're not even charging for that. So some of that stuff we may have to change. But the other thing is make sure the blade's not really rusty. You can ship it in, but we'll probably reject it because it actually ruins that cleaner brush in there. It damages the brush. So you're more than welcome to ship them to us. But then we can actually replace the blade. You know, we can actually do auto replace or auto fill. So you always, every time you take advantage of the shipping back, that you're getting a full box, and don't open the box and say, wow, there's only 2 blades in there, I shipped 15. So
that's a great idea. Yeah, that's a great
So that's a good thing. We give you box price, not unit price, so it's definitely an advantage to take care of the shipping cost, the whole value of that, because we don't charge by the box, or UPS doesn't charge us by the size of the box. It's not by the weight, it's by the size of the box. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the average turnaround? I mean, you guys do a lot of blades, but say a guy sends a box in, what's average turnaround time on them?
It changes. I think right now we're about 2.5 weeks.
Oh, that's
right?
not bad at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that's something you just stay ahead of box. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Or whatever.
Yeah. So if you have to kind of do that inventory yourself. So I need blades tomorrow. I'm going to call Marty and have them the next day. That's probably not going to happen. So you have to kind of plan ahead a little bit and say, okay, I have a pretty big job, coming up. So 2 weeks before that or 3 weeks before that, I'm going to send them to sharpening and resharpen, get them back in time. Or hey, maybe I need to order 5 blades, which we have in stock here, get them shipped to you, then ship us the other ones back. So again, just try to do your homework there, and you're not putting pressure on us. We try to help as much as we can, but we don't want to be calling 25 customers and say, hey, Johnny has blades that needs to be done before yours. That usually doesn't work out too well. And someone's going to be upset. So
I'll put a link in the description of this video. Your email, website, all that stuff. Email, but yeah, for blades, that's a big thing. You know what I mean? And people are looking. So yeah, you guys do a nice job. Anything else you can think about in blades we wanted to mention?
Make sure you put your name on the box. So I've had a few of these come in with the labels torn or something like that when it comes in the door. So definitely, if you take a Sharpie and write on the top of the box your name.
Yeah.
inside the box, outside the box, and then if you get the label from us, it'll have your name on it, so we know who they came from. So again, if you call me and your blades don't come back in a month or 2, and then you're going, hey, where's my blades at? So
yeah,
that's definitely a challenge for us to try to keep that. So
right.
so the other thing is we don't want the blades here for months and months. So once the blades are done, we expect them to be paid for, and we'll ship them right back out to you. So that's the other thing we kind of frown on, trying to, because it's a lot of work trying to keep calling them every month and billing and all that stuff. So we want them to try to get them right back out the door.
It's a lot of work. It's a process. I didn't realize there was that much to the whole process of sharpening.
Right.
You know, yeah. Well, that's good. I appreciate it, guys. I think this will be helpful for anyone.
That we appreciate the
Blade
business.
sharpen. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
thank you.